Hello there. How are you doing? How are you navigating this moment in time? Seems very fitting as well that a helicopter goes by overhead right as I've hit record on this video, with everything that is trying to take shape to bring a foothold into Los Angeles and the protests that have been happening this weekend, and Donald Trump and the administration's response. To send in the National Guard without actual authorization and request from the mayor of Los Angeles or the governor of California, and not invoking the Insurrectionist Act, which would allow the president to have that authority to do this. And instead it's a militaristic response. This desire to incite violence and the shaping of a narrative. And we're going to talk about all of this and how it is interacting and being informed by the astrology. You know, as always, my intention with these videos is to help you understand the energy at play, so then you can move with that energy. You can see within yourself the necessary reflections and then go with that flow, rather than this resisting to the moment. And it just seems very fitting that this video is quite solemn. That's the energy that I am currently in. We have a Scorpio moon that I'm filming this under. So there is going to be this depth with what I'm sharing. Going beyond limitation, going into those areas that we don't want to look at. And that is exactly where we need to be and what we need to be looking at. Now, if you are new to this channel, my name is Chrissy Whistler. I am an evolutionary astrologer. I follow the work of Jeffrey Wolf Green, and that means I go into the depths. This is not light and fluffy astrology, although my intention is always to bring in hope and inspiration with everything that I do, even when I am in my own moments of the depths. And I'm also an energy practitioner. So taking these energies of these moments and working with them, clearing out these old patterns so we can really start to call in this new future. And if you're interested in any of my work, please go to my website, chrissywhistler.com. And that's available to you if you're really needing that. And I hope you're just like with me as well in this. It feels so important with the busyness of our world, all the information that's being thrust at us right now, really ignited this month, this new moon that began on May 27th. It will be seeing us through until the next new moon at the end of June, but it doesn't stop there. This theme of this being bombarded with information will be continuing. It is a very long-term cycle, and I'm sure that you're feeling it right now, this overwhelm of information. So I'm giving myself this time to actually just be with you, to not rush out with all the information that I have to share, my notes, the astrology. And definitely take that breath for yourself. When you feel that overwhelm, come outside, put your bare feet on our Earth Mother, our shared mother, Ome, as Grandmother Lani-san from the Yaomi and Apache tribe was speaking so much to at the Anawa gathering that I was at. Our shared mother, and ask her to hold you, to share in your deep gratitude to her that we have this beautiful planet that we are on, that we were born on, that our parents were born on. So when you feel that overwhelm, she is right here to hold you. Please take that time when you need it, and even if you don't know that you need it, do it anyway. And that will also really help you to move through this very intense, fast-moving energy that we are now in. This time of great change that the grandmothers have spoken about for years now. And as many tribes and indigenous peoples and their prophecies have spoken of, this is the time. And you better believe that it's being completely highlighted and marked in the astrology. So, thank you for being here. Thank you for your patience between the videos that I put out. I was gone for 3 weeks. I went to 5 national parks with my children, and then other families started to join us, like Sean and his parents. But we were in Texas, New Mexico, and Colorado. I was home for about 6 days, and then I went to Anawa Gathering in Northern California amongst the beautiful redwoods. And I've really had to sit on my hands and not feel that pressure of the doing, to put out videos, to do this, to do that, right? You guys, you know what I mean. The pressure of doing, when actually what I deeply needed was to just take this time to rest, to integrate everything that I had been receiving, the teachings, my own healing immersion journey that this was, and believe me, it was. It always is. And just to come back to this slowly, one step at a time. And I'm bringing this through because it's going to be very much tied into Jupiter and his entrance into Cancer, which is tomorrow on June 9th. And Jupiter will be in Cancer for a whole year. Now, the North Node for most of us alive, for the North Node of Jupiter, Saturn, and Pluto is all in Cancer. And we're going to keep sharing on this, but this energy of Cancer, this is emotional intelligence. This is the divine feminine. That need for safe space to really see and hold another as they are going through their emotions, or holding ourselves. This is the energy of the mother, of Ome, our shared mother at her best. Holding. She is this container that holds. And we are part of her. We have all this inside ourselves as well. So for all of humanity, there is this intention to return back to this most missing and needed medicine. The home, the mother, to be that emotional safe space, as opposed to always doing the distorted masculine, the doing, the never being allowed to rest. I'm just taking a moment with that energy because it is so potent right now. Now, let's swing back for a moment to end of May, which I did not give you a new moon video update. And again, I am sorry, but also I understand the divine timing of this is because I get to speak and to hold the truth, the experience that is literally taking place on the lands which I am on right now of Los Angeles County, of my own home city of Torrance. I get to speak to this truth, which I could not have done in this particular way. End of May. Okay. End of May, as always, a new moon sows a seed for the whole moon cycle to come. When we have our full moon, there is an illumination or a culmination of some kind of energy, and that's emphasized by the zodiac sign that it's in. And then we have another new moon, and a seed is sown. That is the cycle of our moons. These are the cycles of the energies you and I are working with. And every time planets come together, a new seed is sown and a new cycle begins. Now, this last new moon in Gemini, it's not just about this new moon. This new moon had Uranus conjunct. Uranus, who will be entering Gemini for the first time in 84 years. Yes, I know. So ladylike. I'm going to own it. First time entering Gemini, early July. Uranus. So this new moon, not just setting a new seed, this is introducing for us what Uranus in Gemini is going to look like. What it will be bringing forward, and Uranus will be in Gemini for about 7 years. Okay, long-term time, long-term transits. Now, in addition, this new moon in Gemini was in a trine to Pluto in Aquarius. We are finally being introduced to what Pluto in Aquarius actually is and what it's going to mean. Now, please understand, there's so much going on in the astrology in this moment. I will not be talking about all of it. I cannot. And many of it as well. The astrology speaks to themes, but what actually manifests is dependent on us as a collective. Our consciousness is making a collective choice together. And then, of course, in our own lives, we are going to have very unique experiences that our soul will bring to us. So just take these as themes and energies, and please reflect on where this is showing up in your life, or how the theme or the story that I'm going to be speaking to actually, when you turn it this way, is your story in your life, looking at it from a new lens. So please take that sphere and turn it around and see what facet is speaking to you and what your soul is asking you to move through, or your particular country. I am, of course, going to be speaking here in the United States. It's what I'm most familiar with. And I know we tend to cause big ripples and changes through the rest of the world. We have a superiority complex here in the US. But I also want to acknowledge that you and your country will be having a very unique and different experience. And I'll see if I can start to speak to some of that in little bits as I go along. All right, so this trine to Pluto, this new moon, one of the themes, Pluto in Aquarius, that we are seeing is the hive mind. Group think. And as I spoke, I think I did it in a post. Here is the story of the Nazis resurfacing again, because this very much, they were Aquarius, the lower octave Aquarius, where there was a necessary disassociation because of the trauma, the dehumanization that was being committed on particular groups of people, Jewish people, but also those who were gay. You know, the gypsies, these people, or people who had disabilities, right? Like there's this whole group of people who were killed and tortured. So this is the phenomenon of Aquarius, is that group mind, hive mind. You don't want to separate from the group, or you will be targeted, because you are unique, you are different. You're even trying to be progressive and revolutionary, and the group will turn on you. You know, this video that I'm even filming right now is not what most people in the spiritual community, the New Age spiritual community, are going to be speaking of. Actual truth and acknowledging what is truly being committed and done. At least that's my intent. I'm not saying I'm perfect by any means. So I'm sure you can even see in your world, your sphere, where is the groupthink, hive mind phenomenon happening? And are you being the one being isolated from that group, being targeted? You know, I shared recently with Sean in his job loss. He was not fitting in with the group think, and they were threatened by the ideas and perspectives that he was bringing in. And so he was, he was let go in a very dishonest way, very underhanded. And I'm sure you can hear, I'm at the pool's right there. There's children playing and having a good time, so just kind of bringing that in too. So just know there's a need for this balance of needing to see what is happening and acknowledging it, asking questions about humanity, about ourselves, and we still need to be here living in our lives and being present. There still needs to be joy. So let the children guide you with that, show you how to do that. All right. So this trine to Pluto and Aquarius, this energy that will be with us for the next 20-ish years is the human species waking up to itself. And where we actually are. In our consciousness. And if you are someone who has an open, compassionate, loving heart, I'm sure this is heartbreaking for you. It is for me. And we need to see it. We have to see it. We need this self-awareness in order to rise as a collective in our consciousness. There's no accident why all of this is happening in our world right now. There's no accident why the war in Gaza and the genocide of the Palestinians, of the children, of the mothers who are there and who are starving. It's no accident that this is happening. We are being called to come back to our hearts, to one humanity, to this compassion and this love. We need to see ourselves. And that includes the good and the bad and the really, really ugly. And there is a need to recognize that ugliness, that possibility of that ugliness exists within inside each of us. To reconcile that truth, as opposed to just projecting it onto somebody else who is different from you and blaming them. They're the ones who are evil. They're the ones who are doing all these bad things. I'm good. That's not how it works as a human. We are all of those things, and the potential exists within each of us. What I'm also speaking to is Jupiter, this planet of awareness, of expansion, this magnifying glass. This is Jupiter, is trying to bring in these bigger perspective stories. Jupiter has been in a square to the moon's nodes. And we are seeing this taking place in the world, big and small. And one of the ways Jupiter can show up is, I am right. There is one size fits all. I am going to step in because I know what's best, and then not care about all the destruction and harm that Jupiter going to do this thing actually causes and creates instead. You can think of it as the Crusader complex, right? There is only one God. This is the God, and I'm going to go out and be a conquistador. I'm going to go conquest and conquer other people who think differently. And in doing so, creating so much havoc and destruction in its wake. And I am in Los Angeles. Our year here started with fires. Both very destructive, and also fire as an element is very clearing, purifying the energies of the land. It's a yes and story, right? So here I am again, and beginning on Friday, June 6th, the communities of Los Angeles, in the actual city of Los Angeles, have stood up against the ICE agents, those people who are coming in and grabbing immigrants from their places of work, from their home. I just saw somebody was buying donuts, and they just came in, grabbed him out of the car, and the person's gone. So big protests, people rising up and saying, no, you cannot do this to our communities. This is our home, these are our neighbors. What happened to the rhetoric of, oh, we're only going to go after the criminals? They're the only ones we're going to go after. Well, I can tell you that here in the city of Torrance, this is just one, so please keep that in mind. I'm only just speaking about one. A father and a fourth grader were doing a routine immigration process procedure in Texas, and they were seized by ICE and separated. A fourth grader is a 10-year-old. a 10-year-old boy in my community was separated from his father. A child. My son is 10. And I have people in my life who would tell me, oh no, they're only going after the criminals. Oh, I didn't hear that. When you try to speak of, no, there's raids on our schools here where they are looking for children who are undocumented. When someone tells that to you, that is gaslighting. Gaslighting the truth. Demeaning the experience. Oh, well, these people actually don't matter. And what I'm also trying to do in this video is to demonstrate what is being asked of us with Jupiter into Cancer. To return back to our emotions, to not turn a blind eye to what is happening, what may be happening in your life and in your community. That is how we integrate Jupiter squaring the nodes. Is a choice to see the bigger picture. And here's the bigger picture. So I am acknowledging the pain. I am acknowledging what is happening. And I do understand. I understand why. I understand that in order to wake up, there needs to be this level of pain. This level of darkness. To get our consensus society, which in evolutionary astrology is about 75% of the population, is not able to think for itself. They have not yet individuated from the group. That's the second stage of evolution. So in order to get consensus society to upgrade in consciousness, it requires this intensity. It requires this deep coming in to ourselves and asking, what is true goodness? What is compassion? What is true and unconditional love, and am I living it? That's the North Node in Pisces. That is what Saturn and Neptune, not done yet with Pisces. They're in Aries, they're gonna go back. This existential crisis of our hearts and our souls. And I also understand the role that Donald Trump is playing in bringing all of the shadows up to the surface. I was even speaking with Sharon Mackerlane last week. She brought the grandmothers through and their messages. And again, we were able to reflect that back to each other me from the astrology perspective, especially what I'm also intuitively feeling, but from her with the grandmothers. And again, there is a need to bring all this sludge and darkness to the surface. Again, Pluto in Aquarius, we need to wake up to ourselves. It is time to become self-aware and to see these truths still exist in all of us. We have to see it. No more sweeping it under the rug. It's time to acknowledge. And I see the part that Trump and everyone here in the United States in these positions of power are doing. And grateful is not the right word, but I do understand it. Even as it's also incredibly difficult, and there are true victims here. This this fourth grader, and his father being separated are a victim. I'm sorry, they're victims. The peaceful protesters who were being tear gassed and thrown on the ground, and this attempt for control and violence. You hear the children? Thank you, children. We all have our parts to play. And it's a both and. Yes, these things are happening, and there are victims. There are true people being harmed. Yes, this is taking place. Yes, these people in charge are making these choices. And guess what? That potential exists within inside of me. It exists within inside of you. And wow, are we being invited to sit in that space in the middle, to sit in that pain and witness it, to hold it, to come back to the mother, the divine feminine, because that is her role. That is what she does. Oh my goodness. Okay, so this month in particular and going forward is very important to ask why, to be curious. Why is this happening? Why? Yeah, why? Or even how is this being reflected in me? Where do I hold those parts in me? Those slivers, those potentials. Saturn, now in Aries, is it any surprise that there is now being a limitation imposed on the freedom of those in Los Angeles? Or I know in the UK, there is a freedom being restricted on free speech. I've noticed a lot of the people that I follow on YouTube are saying there are things they cannot say and cannot speak about. So Saturn into Aries, Saturn is where we will have a limitation or a challenge on freedom, on our ability to individuate and to go into the direction our soul is calling us to follow the beat of our own drum and where that is taking us, to be a trailblazer, and the confidence to be that trailblazer, the willpower to do this. Saturn is going to bring us a limitation on that. And here, lower octave we're speaking about here, as, again, Donald Trump is ordering in the National Guard, and there's even been threat to send in the Marines from Camp Pendleton to also control the rioters. The, what else were the words? I believe insurrectionists were used. Very strong words to create what? Dehumanization of the people who live here and the people who are standing up for their community and for their neighbors and saying, no, you cannot do this. You cannot treat people this way. Peaceful or not, doesn't matter. Aries lower octave is about violence, and it is about the military. So is it any surprise that we have someone wanting to come in and to incite violence so he can get the war that he wants, the martial law that he wants? Nope. No surprise. And yet as well, because Saturn is balsamic to Neptune, they're not quite touching yet, there is a dissolving of all things structure, including the structure of our beliefs and even the beliefs of government. Beliefs that we may have held unconsciously or been born into are now dissolving. There's a complete melting down. All right, so much. We also have Jupiter is now once again in a square to Saturn. Jupiter and Mercury square to Saturn. This is taking us back to December 21st, 2020, when Jupiter and Saturn were conjunct in the early degrees of Aquarius. And guess what we experienced? A limitation on freedom. Aquarius. Now, what are your beliefs? What were they back in end of 2020? And how have they changed now? There's this tension that's building between these guys. Take the time to see it and reflect on it and what it means for you. Jupiter is like our compass, guiding us. It's taking us to that big picture, topographical perspective. It brings us our orientation to life, to cosmology, to where we fit. What is our purpose in life? Why am I here? These are big philosophical Jupiter questions that will be illuminated very much in the energy of Cancer, of emotion, of safe space. So, as I said, we are seeing this limitation, this militaristic force playing out. Again, I'm using one example. Take whatever example is working for you in your life. We're seeing this militaristic force, and it's like, hey, wait a minute. Is this actually right? Does this actually the North Star that I'm being guided to go in? Is my inner child okay with this? My emotions? It's also going to be about finding the right people that you can actually connect with. Who are the emotionally safe people? And if it's not the people that's around you, go find the ones that are. This is what Jupiter is going to be really helping us moving forward. Finding safety. This questioning of what is good versus what is evil. True victims versus feeling like you're a victim of everything and projecting all of that pain onto other people. Boy, aren't we seeing that in the world. Use discernment. Critical thinking is very important. We need to listen. This is Mercury, this is Jupiter conjunct. Again, Mercury rolled the new moon, Jupiter's rolling the full moon. This is a big deal. Please lean into it. This Saturn in Aries is here to test our ability to get up and get through these tests and challenges, whatever they are in your life. Saturn is pushing you to be the individual that you are, the trailblazer, the way shower, the warrior protector, the one who is going to open the door because something scary knocks. You are the one that's going to open that door because you have that calling within you. This is what is being ignited and initiated in those of us who are willing to sit and to see the truth and what is playing out right now. Not staying in ignorance by choosing not to see. I'm sure you know what I'm talking about. Those people who are just like, no, I'm not going to look at it. I know what's going on, but I'm not going to look at it. Or the complete love and light brigade and community who cannot acknowledge the hard, uncomfortable, painful emotions inside of life. Those of us who are willing to do that deep, hard, uncomfortable work are being initiated into, as my astrology teacher called it, grief warriors. True protectors who can hold the space of grief, of emotions, and be the warriors at the same time. I'm also speaking to Aries, being an Aries right now, the mother dwarf planet, this energy, this spiritual midwife, that energy that she holds. She's really going to be helping us with that. Wherever 0 degrees of Aries is in your chart, you will be experiencing a fundamental, extraordinary reset in your life. Again, if you're paying attention, if you're willing to sit in the muck, in this existential crisis that we are in. So just know, if you are experiencing that, you are not alone. And as uncomfortable and challenging and difficult as it may be, you are exactly where you are meant to be. And see and feel into where and why your soul is asking you to have that particular experience. And if you don't know, do please reach out and I can give you a birth chart reading. Okay. Saturn is telling each of us, through the struggles, through the challenges, because that's what Saturn does. Saturn says, I'm going to make you grow up to be mature, to be strong. You are your own authority. This, through the challenges of Saturn, is what Saturn is helping us step into. Again, low octave Saturn in Aquarius is, I'm going to come in and I'm going to bring all the militaristic force and just take things over because I know it's best. That's Saturn squared to Jupiter as well. But high octave Saturn is like, no, I'm going to help you become this warrior that you really, really are. Saturn says to those who are willing to go through these tests and challenges, you are the one for the job. You are the one that you've been waiting for, and you are strong enough to do it. So get up and go do it. That's what Saturn's really helping us out with. And it's not just Saturn. I will just bring in a little bit as well here. We have Chiron and Eris in Aries as well. They are conjunct. So there's definitely an energy of wounds coming through. Around that confidence, that willpower. And Eris being there, she's saying, yes, you do have those, and it's time to stand up. You may feel that you have a restriction on your freedom, so stand up. Eris, for each of us, will be causing discord in our lives in order to wake us up. To leave the old programming, the old story of those wounds behind, and to push through, to turn a light on those wounds. Turn the light on to see, oh, this is actually where I am most gifted. This is what I have to give back, to be this trailblazer, this healer, this wisdom keeper and holder. Both of those energies are also trine to Mars in Leo, who rules Aries. So there's this, again, there's a beautiful supportive energy coming from Mars about following this creativity, this spark that exists within inside each of us, this passion. And they are also in a trine to Varda in Sagittarius. So there is this light and this hope coming through even with these dark times that we are in. So one last thing I'm going to leave with you to ponder and consider. I've been speaking to the things that we see out in the world, other people are doing. Where does it exist within us? Do that work. You may not be in a position where you can go to a protest, for example. It may not be the right move, the choice for you in your life. So you may be feeling quite helpless. There's all these things going on in the world, and I can't do anything about it. Please do not discount the work that you do within yourself. That is the key to everything. That is the key to this rising up of our consciousness, is when we choose to look at ourselves and be like, okay, when am I the person who disregards the will of other people and bulldozes over them anyway? How many times have you done that to somebody else? Or to your children? You know? How many times have we done that? Or to your partner? How many times have you been the bully and not realizing that you were? How many times, how often have you been the bully to yourself and to those inner parts within you? Have you actually taken the time to listen to the little emotional inner child part who, like for me, was so exhausted after these trips and all the work that I had to do? I had to be parent. And often I had to be the parent holding all of the energy. Even when I had other adults around me, it was still on me to do all the stuff. Well, I got to get laundry done, got to make sure the kids are fed, like, still on me. I came back I really just needed to rest. And that was a big reclamation when I chose to listen to my body and to that little inner child part, where my doing parts didn't just bulldoze over the little child part. That was huge. So please recognize when you do that, you're sending out a ripple of energy all through the world, all through this morphogenetic field that we are a part of. And we have that power and that ability within ourselves. So I know this was a big one, and I know at the same time I've just barely scratched the surface of it. So again, please forgive me if I did not cover everything. If you did find it helpful, please like this video and send it to your friends to share who might feel a resonance with these messages, or if they need support. Like, you know, we're in these times of change and it's gonna look kind of shitty. It's probably gonna look really shitty at times. And yet, where can we go from there? This knowing what's coming, how to work with and be this alchemist to bring in the change that we actually want and that we're here for. Just make sure I feel like I've covered enough. There's so much. I might come back and do another video speaking about the solstice, but just know, like, everything I spoke about here is not a one and done deal. This is going to be a gong, a resonance carrying us forward, and it'll just keep deepening. And we're gonna all keep going deeper on that spiral of these lessons and these opportunities to truly see ourselves. Anyway, I appreciate you all so much. Thank you as well for being here, for understanding as I've taken that time for myself, and will be even redoing my website and making all of that much more in alignment with where I'm at now, and these wonderful ideas that are coming through to share videos, especially about education and being a human. And I have so many wonderful ideas, and I'm just trusting in the timing of all of this. Even the book that I've been sitting on, like, it will all come in the right time. And yet, I'm just doing it one step at a time and being gracious to myself and resting, listening to my own divine feminine within and honoring her. So I hope you do the same in your life, however you see fit. Happy full moon. Happy Jupiter entering Cancer. Please know I am here to support you and to hold that emotional, safe space for you if that's what you're needing. Thank you all so much for watching, and I'll see you soon. Take care. Bye-bye.